So the first thing that we have to have it is in general form or standard form, namely ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. In this case, we have x squared plus 8x plus 15 equals 0. It is in the proper form, so I don't have to do anything. To protect myself from myself, I then write out what a, b, and c is. A is 1, b is 8, c is negative 15, and positive 15, sorry about that. And then I'm going to stuff that into the quadratic formula. And remember, it is that x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So that x is, now it's just a plug and chug. B is 8, so it's going to be minus 8. It's minus b plus or minus the square root of. Now, I'm going to square b, so I'm going to put it in parentheses. If it were negative, it would be, if a negative 8, it would have been a negative 8 squared, which would have been positive, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 15, all over 2 times a, which is 1. And then I'm going to simplify my answer. So that x is minus 8 plus or minus the square root of 64 subtract 60 all over 2, or x is minus 8 plus or minus the square root of 4 over 2. And by the way, since I'm not going to have a radical in my answer, like when we completed the square as well, this said this guy would have factored. This becomes minus 8 plus or minus 2 over 2. So I have two answers. X is minus 8 plus 2 over 2. X is minus 8 minus 2 over 2, which is minus 6 over 2, or minus 3, or minus 10 over 2, which is minus 5. So I do have an answer, and my answer is x equal minus 3, x equal minus 5. And like I said, that would have factored under different circumstances. Now, if, by the way, if something factors, I'll try to factor it first because it's quickest. But this tells you that if it factors, you can use a quadratic formula on it. If it doesn't factor, you can still use a quadratic formula on it. Yes, John?
So, like, both of those answers, then we have to check and see if one of them will work, correct?
Well, in this case, the domain of a polynomial is all real numbers, so you really don't have to concern yourself about that. You could check your answer. If that answer was dependent upon whether or not the bridge was going to fall down or something along that line, I'd always check my answers. You know, so if an application problem, I check my answers. But it's not quite as important here.
Okay, so here we
But it should check, yeah. If it was a test, I might check my answers. Yeah. Now, like I said, that this guy actually factors. If I take x squared plus 8x plus 15 equals 0, this factors into x minus 5 times x minus 3 equals 0. Oops. Plus. This gives me an x of negative 5 and an x of negative 3, which is what I got as answers up here. Now, if I don't see a factorization right away and I'm working a problem, I'll move right away to the quadratic formula. I mean, it just is, I'll just go off, I'll go to the quadratic formula. Because it's quicker and easier than try to sit there for half an hour figuring out how you factor this thing. River, do you want to start the roll for me, please? Next problem. We look at it, and it's equal to 2. So standard form is going to be equal to 0, so I need to subtract 2 from both sides. So this says that 4x squared plus 3x minus 2 equals 0. And now A is 4, B is 3, C is negative 2. And now I pump it into the quadratic formula. It's a plug and chug. X is minus B, so it's minus 3, plus or minus the square root of B squared, which is 3 squared, minus 4 times A, which is 4, times C, which is negative 2, all over 2 times A, which is 4. X is equal to minus 3 plus or minus the square root over 8. I don't play with this thing. I take my handy dandy little calculator, wherever it happens to be, and then what I do is I just put in what's under the radical, and that's going to be parenthesis 3 parenthesis squared minus 4 times A, which is 4, times C, which is negative 2, and I get 41. And then, if I can, simplify the radical, but I can't because 41 is prime. So that's where you would stop. An application problem, by the way, you would probably go out and find numerical answers. There are 2 of them. X is minus 3 plus the square root of 41 all over 8, and X is minus 3 minus the square root of 41 all over 8. But I'm just playing with quadratic formula right now, so I just leave well enough alone. That's a perfectly good answer. Now, when we do our word problems, we're going to actually need to find numbers.